Hey everybody, Amber Carnes here. I'm here today with Reagan Chastain. I'm very excited to be talking with Reagan. I've followed her work for a long time, and the things that she does around activism, especially fat activism and size acceptance, are totally awesome. We'll be linking to all of her resources and websites and everything else where you can learn more about her. But we're here today to talk with Reagan and ask some questions. So hi Reagan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Amber, thank you so much for having me. And also, thank you for all of the awesome work that you do. You're such a rock star.
Oh, that means a lot. Thanks. So most of us are familiar with you or have found you through your awesome blog, Dances with Fat. Tell us a little bit more about your blog and how you use it in activism. Why did you start it? How has it evolved?
Sure. Actually, started it. I had started ballroom dancing competitively, and I was somehow naive enough to think that at the competition it would be about my dancing. And like, I literally don't know how I was that naive at that time. But I went to my first competition, and I had judges tell me what a good dancer I was and what a waste it was that, I was at this weight. Like, I was wasting my talent. I had judges tell me they wouldn't give me better scores until I lost weight, all manner of nonsense. And so I had this experience where a judge, came up to me after a competition and kind of pinned me up against an elevator, and I was wearing a waltz dress that had spaghetti straps, and she told me over and over again, I couldn't stand to look at you.
Oh my God.
And I had that moment of like, do I want to like be classy about this, or do I want to just go off on this person? And I was tired, so I was like, I'll be classy. So I said, okay. And she said again, I couldn't stand to look at you. And I said, okay. And she said, I asked your teacher, and he told me that I could talk to you about this. And I was like, well, I'm 30 years old, so you don't need to ask permission to talk to me. I said, and in truth, I probably won't choose to change the dress, but I do appreciate you taking the time to tell me it's such a problem for you.
Yeah.
And her like face got all red and her veins bulged. That may or may not be true, but and so she walked away from the exchange. And in that moment, I realized, because I had done a lot of queer activism, and a lot of intersectional activism, working on issues of discrimination, oppression of people of color. And so I realized in that moment that the way I was being treated for being fat was similar to the way I was oppressed, for being a queer woman and for being a woman. And so I wanted to be a fat dancer. And I realized like in that moment that I was going to have to be a fat activist to get that done. And at the time, I didn't know that there even was a fat activist movement but I had been, blogging on LiveJournal, and I decided to, get on this newfangled WordPress thing, and that I wanted to talk about my journey, and I wanted, I wanted to be able to say what I wanted to say, and I wanted to have a place to chronicle this, and so that's how I started the blog. And then I was writing for 6 people, and one of them was my mother. Possibly 2 of them were my mom, hard to say, but somebody submitted one of my blogs to Jezebel.com. And I got 10,000 hits in one day, which is roughly 10,000 more than I got in a normal day.
Right.
And that's kind of when I realized that my blog could have power, and that I could, use it not just as a tool to chronicle my own journey and talk about my thoughts, but as a tool to really do some activism and put ideas out there that could be shared and, commented on and added to. And I, at that same time, discovered the blogosphere and the fatosphere and all the amazing people doing this kind of work. And so, that's kind of how I started. And now I blog predominantly. It's less about chronicling my journey on the Dances with Fat. It's more now about blogging about health at every size and size acceptance, and using it as a place to inspire other people to activism, to give people resources, and to answer questions. That's one of my favorite things, when readers will send in a question or something that's going on with them, and I can answer it there, and you see that how many other people it applies to. So that's kind of how the blog works.
Very cool. So let's talk about dancing or movement in general. How has movement played a role in size acceptance for you? And do you consider moving, dancing, exercising while fat to be activism, like in and of itself?
So I came to fat activism because I wanted to be a fat dancer, as I said, and I realized that people didn't find those things to be compatible. And the more that I've sort of, explored that, the more I've realized that there's a double-edged sword to being a fat athlete. because there's a thing that we call it the good fatty, bad fatty dichotomy, where fatties who do like the right things, where right is defined by the people who think they have the right to judge us and tell us how to live, get treated better than people who don't do the right things. Movement tends to be one of those right things. And one of the things that I bought into early in my activism that I've since, realized the error of, was saying like, but I deserve to be treated well because look, like I'm doing the right things, like I'm an athlete and I'm doing fitness. And it turns out that that's totally bullshit and healthist and ableist. And so we kind of have to always balance that, because as a fathlete, there's a tremendous amount of oppression that comes at us. The day that I announced I was going to do my Ironman, I had 2 people email me to tell me that they were going to register so they could drown me in the swim.
Holy crap. Oh my God.
I know a lot of people who have done Ironmans, and I don't know a single one who was told, I want to kill you, like actively want to kill you. And I get tons of, I hope you die. I sincerely hope you die. The sincerely really is what makes it for me. Like, just in case I didn't realize they sincerely hope I die. And so there's fighting that. And there's the fact that for me, size acceptance is about saying you should have the life you want to live, access to the things you want, regardless of your size, without stigmatizing, bullying, oppression. And part of that is being an athlete. So as fat athletes, we deserve to talk about our stories. We deserve to have a place to talk about that, and we deserve to be able to fight the oppression we face as fat athletes. But we also need to be clear that we're not worthy because we're athletes. Right. And there's nothing more laudable, than anything else. So like whether I wanted to become a champion dancer or knit, a tea cozy or watch every episode of Doctor Who that ever existed, like those are all equally valid options for the use of my time. Yeah. And so for me, anytime you're fat in public, it's activism, because of the way that fat people are treated in public, and engaging, oddly enough, in fitness in public, I've gotten even more negative responses than just like being fat in public or like eating fat in public. And so it's an interesting thing, like the same people, it seems like, who say, oh, those fatties need to get out there and exercise, then when I do, they throw eggs at me from their car. So It's almost like they don't care about my health at all. They just want to have somebody to
it's almost just like that.
Isn't it? It's just almost like there's no way to win with these. Just almost, I'm sure it's a coincidence. But yeah, so I do consider my movement to be activism, but I also think it's really important that as a fat athlete, I am clear that the good fatty, bad fatty dichotomy needs to die, and I want to help kill it.
Right, because we don't want to be like, oh, we're not like those other fatties over there. They're, we're eating right, whatever that means, and we're exercising, and somehow that makes us more worthy of respect or basic human rights or whatever. Yeah, totally. So you're pretty fearless about trying new forms of movement, exercise. I mean, you're training for an Ironman right now, for God's sake. What advice do you have for someone who wants to bring more movement into their life, but isn't sure how to get started or is nervous to be like publicly fat while moving or exercising or whatever?
Right. So, I think for a lot of people, the first thing is to kind of repair their messy breakup with exercise, which, often starts with like, I hear a lot of dodgeball horror stories or like the president's physical fitness test. I don't know anybody who's like, God, that gave me an excellent relationship with movement for like the rest of my life.
So true.
Right. So like
those damn pull-ups.
Oh my God. We had to, girls had to do flex arm hang, and I couldn't do it. Yeah. Why do I still remember that? There's so much in my school that I don't remember, but I remember failing at the flexed arm hang.
So true.
And so part of it, I think, is to say, like, my introduction to movement maybe sucked, and my junior high school or high school PE teacher maybe was a jerk, and none of that should have happened. But like, I'm gonna start fresh. I'm gonna start on my own terms with movement, and I think it's really important to know that we get lots of misinformation about movement, like the idea that if your movement doesn't lead to a change in body size, it's not working in terms of giving health benefits, and that's not what the research says at all. And health is not something we can entirely control. So doing movement can be just about doing movement for the joy of doing movement. So for people who are sort of starting, I recommend trying some different things to see what they like, and realizing you're completely in control of this experience, right? So if I think I'm just going to love Zumba because all my friends love Zumba and everybody says everything, and I go to Zumba and I hate Zumba, like I don't have to go back.
Right.
right? I can say Zumba didn't work. I'm going to try dancing in my living room in my underwear, or I'm going to try gardening, or I'm going to try weightlifting. There are so many activities that, you know, especially as a fat person, I used to go to my gym. They used to offer free personal training once a year, and I would go just because it would be a good blog post, you know, and so I would always pick some like either a strength or flexibility goal, and every single time they would start out by putting me on the elliptical. And I'd be like, oh, are we warming up? And they're like, well, no, you got to get that weight off you first. And I'm like, that's not what we discussed. You know, and I had one personal trainer tell me, well, until you get some of that fat off, you can't possibly increase your strength. And I was like, you really need to be fired. Like, you need to not do this job. And like basic human anatomy eludes you in a way that probably disqualifies you from this particular employment. But yeah, and so like things like weightlifting, you know, I know a lot of people who love weightlifting but never considered it like fitness because their idea of fitness was that it has to be cardio.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like traditional cardio, because there definitely can be a cardio benefit from weightlifting. So it's about, I think, getting to it on your own terms, trying a bunch of stuff and seeing what you like. And then for some people, I know their thing is like, I understand that there are, you know, many benefits that may come from movement, but I hate movement. So like, but I want to do it, but what can I do? Like, and so to them, I recommend like find something that you hate the least.
Yeah.
And break it up into little increments, you know, like, cause you can do 10-minute increments of movement and get benefit from that. So like, you know, finding stuff that you hate a little bit less, trying to work it into your day a little bit so that it's a little less painful, that kind of thing. But for people who are interested in like, oh, I want to try out movement, I really recommend just try a bunch of stuff. Groupon is great for that because you can find, and like Living Social, those kind of things, because you can find really cheap deals. You know, search on Yelp for the kind of movement you want to try, and a lot of places offer like a free first session.
Yes.
And so you can go and like check it out, and if you hate it, you don't have to go back. And then in terms of being scared of dealing with public fat shaming, that's certainly something that can happen.
Yeah.
And that sucks. That shouldn't even be a concern. Nobody should have to worry about it. It's one of the things I feel like when the work is done, like anybody of any size can go to any like beach or pool or river or lake in a swimsuit and not even think that something bad might happen to them or they might be fat shamed.
Yeah.
And so that's not how it is right now, which sucks. And so there, to mitigate it, there's some things you can do. One is to find fat-friendly spaces specifically. Another is to call ahead. I always call ahead because I just don't want to deal with the BS anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I call and I'm like, I'm coming to this class. I'm fat. I'm not interested in weight loss. I'm not a beginner. You know, if you are a beginner, you can say that, you know, but my weight is not to be a topic of discussion. Can you deal with that?
Yeah.
So you can kind of call ahead. You can go with a group. One of the things I've always wanted to do and have never gotten around to is organize like a guerrilla fat exercise group to just go in and take over like classes and not be mean to anybody. I hate the idea that like skinny shaming is somehow okay and fat shaming is not, but just to go and be a big fat group in like a ballet class, a pole dancing class, a, you know, taekwondo, whatever.
Wouldn't that like blow everyone's mind? That would be so cool.
And just go and show up. You know, in Austin we used to do a thing called Guerrilla Gay Bar because there weren't a lot of good gay bars when I was in college. And so we would just go to a straight bar and hang out and like not, you know, not hurt anybody. Not the goal wasn't to make anybody uncomfortable, just to be like, we shouldn't have to have our own special bar to go out in public and be comfortable doing something that a lot of people do. And so I feel kind of like it'd be cool to do with exercise as well. But, you know, if you can find a group of people to go with who are like-minded, practicing ahead of time what you're going to say, you know, if somebody says something even well-meaning to you about your weight, or if someone yells something at you or whatever, having something practice ahead of time can really help because then you can feel much more empowered after the situation is over instead of feeling like, oh, I wish I would have said this. Right.
That's one of my favorite things about your blogs is when like at the end you have like 4 or 5 different comebacks. I love that. Like, I think it's amazing. Thanks. That's really good advice. So you're training for Ironman. Sorry, I have to say it like that. Tell us all about it. Where are you in your training regime? What are your hopes, dreams, fears about the race? Tell us.
So I am going for Ironman in Tempe, Arizona in November of 2016 next year. And the next big race I have, although I'll do a bunch of small races before then, is the half Ironman, which they just announced in Tempe, Arizona this October.
Oh, God.
So I know, right? I'm like 6 months after this 6 months. And it's So the half Ironman is exactly half of an Ironman. It's and they call it actually a 70.3, because the idea that pulling yourself 70.3 miles is half of something is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
So at some point they stopped calling it half Ironman, but it's a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike ride, and a half marathon.
Is that all?
That's all in 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I am, my training is I swim, I bike, I run, and then it's Tuesday, and I swim, I bike, I run, and then it's Wednesday. So I work out 6 days a week. I have a coach named Steve Blackman out of Austin, Texas, who creates my workouts, and I'm actually in a really good place. I had a couple months where all of a sudden my calves started cramping just all the time during the run. And I would have to stop and stretch like every 3 to 5 minutes, and it meant that like I had been making really good gains in my run, like 5 minutes better than when I started in January. And then all of a sudden January, February, and then most of March, I've just been plagued. And so we finally got that fixed. And so my times have come down a couple minutes over the last couple weeks, which is really good. I just got my my road bike. And so I haven't ridden a bike in 20 years. And so a lot of this was riding on the phrase, it's just like riding a bike. I was like, let's hope that's literal. And it turns out it mostly is. It's a matter of how fast I have to go, and now getting comfortable on the bike enough to, because spinning, you're at a cadence of 85 to 95 revolutions per minute. And that's on a spin bike. That's, it's mind-numbingly boring,
right.
And it's maybe not the easiest thing, but it's like, all right, I can do that. But when you're on a bike, the idea of pedaling that fast and how fast it will cause you to go is a whole other thing. So conquering that fear now. And then the swimming, I seem to happen to be really good at. I'm lucky. Like I was a lifeguard, but I never like competitively swam as a kid. So so the swimming's going really well and has been going really well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
So cool. Well, I'm in awe. I've trained for like very much shorter races, and even just training for a 5K is a big deal when if it's like a new thing for you. And I know this is a new kind of branch of fitness, like of fitnessing. It's with this scale of training for something like that is a whole new thing, I'm guessing. So, props for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, with dancing, I trained a lot, 20 hours a week of training and, intervals and stuff. But part of the thing with dancing is that I enjoy dancing. So it seems like so terrible. I actually don't enjoy, the swimming is okay, but the biking and the running, I don't enjoy. This all came out of a process that started when my dance team, More Cabaret, decided to do a 5K. And I realized that sort of throughout my whole life athletically, I've only done things that I'm good at. Right. So I went out for soccer, turned out to be pretty good at it. Went out for volleyball, turned out to be pretty good at it. Went out for basketball, not good at it, just didn't do basketball anymore.
Yeah.
And so I realized that there might be sort of life lessons outside of my comfort zone that I wasn't getting those lessons because I was just doing things at which I, had enough natural talent. Like I was joking with my coach because I'm just not good at this. And I was like, usually I start something and people are like, oh, you're good for a beginner. And then I get better really fast. And then I win some kind of award.
Right.
And in this case, I started out bad and I'm just less dramatically bad than I was at the beginning, but like still not anywhere close to good.
Right.
And it really is a lot about like learning those lessons and persevering. And, I don't recommend this to anybody. If someone wants to do it, then I think that's great. But, I also, I want the medal. I'm all about the medal. I want them to give me the medal and I get the tattoo and then I'm going to go learn to tap dance or something that I like.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of hopes and dreams and fears, like I fear not finishing it because I don't like to leave a goal not completed. Yeah. And I don't want to do this more than once.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not like you can be like, oh, I'll just run the 5K next month. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And so like the half Ironman, I fear not completing that, but that's, a halfway goal. And if I fail, then it's like, okay, well, I know where I am.
Yeah.
But not completing the Ironman and realizing like, because I talk to people who are like, yeah, it took me till my 4th try. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. Like, no, I do not want to do that. So that inspires me in my training every day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do it once, get the medal, get the tattoo,
Done. Yeah, awesome. So tell us about Fit Fatties. That is, it's a group. It's a Facebook group. It's an awesome like support resource for tons of us, and for me, it's been a big inspiration. Like, what's going on there? What? Tell us about it for people that might want to get involved.
So Jeanette DePatty, who's a good friend of mine who blogs at thefatchick.com, and I wanted to create a space where people could talk about fitness from a weight neutral perspective, and where people, of all sizes, of all abilities, of all fitness levels could have a place where they could go and really talk about what was going on without worrying about like weight loss talk or negative body talk. And so that's why we founded the Fit Fatties Forum. And we created the forum online, and we have a photo gallery and a video gallery that are super inspiring to me, and different forums and groups. And then people had asked if we could also do a Facebook page. And so we created a Facebook page, and now that's really active. And it's great to have the resource. Like, I really enjoy reading through them, but then I can ask my own questions about, whatever's going on, especially with the Ironman, because I don't know a lot of stuff about biking and running and swimming, so I can ask. And so the newest thing we have is the Flying Rhinos. We so the Flying Rhino is sort of the public face of the Fit Fatties Forum, so people got t-shirts so that they could wear out in public. And then we created an event team. And so we've got a separate Facebook for people who participate in organized fitness events to kind of talk about their events, file their race reports, try to get together to do events together, so that we don't just flood the Fit Fatties Forum with a bunch of that kind of stuff, because a lot of people aren't into that, and we want to make it a safe space for everybody. Right. So yeah, the Fit Fatties Forum is one of my favorite projects that I've done as an activist. I'm really happy with it.
It's an amazing resource, and I remember when I first found it, I was just like, oh my God, there are more people like me. It was really cool. So, I'll definitely link to the forum and also to the Facebook group. And it's been a good long while since I've been on the forum, because now I just get so many notifications from Facebook every day. It's like there's a lot of really great conversation happening there. But the forum, I definitely need to make a visit back over there sometime. So what do you have coming up that you're excited about or that folks can get involved in?
So actually, I have 3 projects that are happening right now, and none of them are quite ready to announce. I'm a little bummed about that, but I will give a hint and say if people have interesting hate mail that they'd like to see people poke fun at, they should kind of hang on to that, because they may have an opportunity to submit it for some fun, poking fun at the haters kind of thing. As far as the Fit Fatties Forum, if people are interested in being part of the Fit Fatties Forum or being part of the event team, certainly, head over to the Facebook page and get involved there.
Very cool. And I'll be sure to link to your book and your DVDs and all that good stuff that you have, and in the post that accompanies this video. And on the line of the hate mail thing, I think that's awesome. I can't wait to see what it is. One of the most like ingenious things ever was your page, and I don't even know if it's still there, but it was like you put ads on a page that was monetize the hate mail. Yep. That is the best thing ever.
Thank you. I'm creating an Ironman specific one.
Oh, great!
Right now. I'm in the process for my Ironman. I'm thinking about raising the Ironman fee, because it's $750. It's not a small fee to enter. It's like paying $750 to torture yourself.
Good Lord.
17 hours. But I'm thinking about doing a hate-a-thon. Mm-hmm. And so people will pledge like $1 per hate mail comment up to a certain amount.
Just to wrap things up, some folks watching this video might be about to go on yet another diet, or they're thinking about trying to change their body, or they're just struggling with body acceptance. Maybe they think folks like you and me are weirdos and live on some other planet, and that like body acceptance is an unreachable goal for them. What would you say to them at this time?
So for me, people are allowed to do whatever they want with their bodies.
Right.
And I definitely dieted for a long time, and really felt like, even after I knew that only a tiny percentage of people succeed in the long term, I was still like, but you should still try. Because I wasn't really calculating downside risk, and I wasn't, I was just thinking of like my fantasy of what it was going to be like when I was thin. And so I spent a lot of time kind of sitting around waiting for another body to show up. Like, are you there, God, it's me, Margaret, when she's waiting for her boobs to grow, and she sits down every day, like, no boobs. That's how I felt about a thin body. Like, oh, still not thin. Like, I guess I'll keep waiting. And so my life changed dramatically the day that I decided to take the body I have out for a spin. And like to buy clothes that I liked in the size that I actually was, and to try doing the things that I wanted to do right now. instead of, assuming that I would just wait, and then when I was thin, that's when I would start living. And so I would say, whatever you're thinking about doing, certainly I think doing the research is important, because once you find out the research about dieting, it's, for me, it was much harder to think it was a good option.
It was compelling for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was trained in research. That's how I came to Health at Every Size, was I was looking for the best diet, the one that worked the best, to try. And so I was reading all this diet literature, and I was totally shocked to find that, one, there wasn't a single study where more than a tiny fraction of people had succeeded. And two, there was no study that showed that losing weight actually led to health.
Yeah.
And there still isn't. Like, it's all based on the hypothesis, but we assume that there's tons of research backing it up, and that's not the case.
Right.
But I would say, regardless of what you want to do, like, consider starting living right now. Like, just do the things you want to do now. Even if you're planning to lose weight, even if you're planning to, try to change your body, take the body you have out for a spin now, and don't wait to start living regardless of what your plans are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Reagan, for all the work that you put into the world. We're going to link to some really great resources from your blog, and also to all the ways that folks can get in touch with you and follow you online. We really appreciate your time, and thanks for being with us today.
Cool beans. Thank you again for having me and for all of the work that you do. I really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. We'll see you on the internet.
All right.
All right. Bye.